Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. In today's video, I'll be using Honeybee Stamps Mountain Circlescape Honeycut dies. For a sentiment, I have He Is Risen stamps and coordinating honeycut dies. And I'll also be using a little bit of pattern paper from the Summer Stems collection. I selected this lovely design. I think it looks like a sunrise sky. So I thought that would be perfect for this sky on my little mountain scene. If you love to do ink blending, be easy to create your own sky, but sometimes it's nice to save a little bit of time and find that perfect pattern paper design. For the mountains, I used two different shades of gray cardstock, and for the snow caps, I used some white shimmer cardstock. I want to add a little bit of dimension to the mountains. I'm using the Blackjack ink color from Catherine Pooler and inking up just the very edges of all those gray pieces. For the background of the card, I'm using some more white shimmer cardstock. I've already used the die to cut out the circle, and I decided to cut out a second piece and I'll layer them together just for a little bit of dimension. To adhere the two pieces, I'm putting some ATG tape on the back, trying to be very careful on that narrow area on the side of the card since my ATG tape is slightly wider, but it's easy to push that adhesive in with my finger. Then I'll put more ATG tape on the back and add my card front onto a card base. Now I have the perfect circle opening and I can add all those die cut pieces to create the little mountain scene. It's basically like assembling a jigsaw puzzle. I'll start by attaching the sky piece. I'm using Honeybee Stamps Precision Tip Glue, putting just a light coat on the back and adhering it in place. Then I'll add one of the snow caps on the right side. I am using my reverse tweezers to hold some of those smaller pieces while I put glue on the back. When assembling this scene, I found it easier to start with that back mountain on the right side. Then I'll do the larger mountain on the left, and the final piece will be that shorter mountain all the way toward the front. This is a really easy die set to use, and I love that you can make either a daytime scene or a nighttime scene, or in my case, a sunrise scene. There's a separate die with the sun, and there's also a moon. It's also nice that it isn't a specific theme, so it's the perfect set to use year-round, and I think it would be great for some masculine cards. Sometimes it's tricky to find the right sets to make for guy cards. I have just one more piece of the mountain to adhere in place. By having the two pieces of cardstock for the background, the mountain scene is just slightly lower, creating a little extra interest to the card. Next, I'll add the sun, and I love how the edges of the sun are cut perfectly to match the edge of the mountain. So you can nestle it right there between the two peaks. For a little extra interest on the bottom of the card, I cut two narrow strips of the same white shimmer cardstock. To adhere them in place, I put some tear tape on the back side. I'll remove the release paper, and I'm using the grid on my craft mat to make sure to get those strips nice and straight. I did cut them a little bit wider than my card. I'll simply flip it over, use my scissors to trim off the extra. For the sentiment, I'll be adding He Is With You, and I did some heat embossing using white embossing powder on black cardstock. Before adhering it to my card, I did put a small scrap piece of cardstock on the very left side. Then I'll put some foam dimension on the back, and this is Honeybee Stamps black thin foam strips. I'll remove the release paper and adhere the sentiment underneath the mountains on the right side. I thought this was the perfect sentiment to go with a beautiful sunrise scene. To finish off the card, I'm using Nuvo glitter drops. This is the yellow bird color, adding just a light coat on the sun. So there is my finished card, and I did end up making two using this design. With such a beautiful mountain scene, I didn't think the card needed anything else. This is such a fun die set. Now I really want to do a nighttime scene. If you are interested in any of the products I used in this video, I do have links provided in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.